Mount Wuyi is famous for its beautiful scenery. It is also well known because of its association with the 12th century philosopher Zhu Xi, the father of New Confucianism. On one of his rare trips away from Mount Wuyi, Zhu Xi took part in the famous Goose Lake debate. What two schools of thought clashed in this historic exchange of views? Find out in Zhu Xi and Mount Wuyi, the second part of Great Masters of the Past.
Mount Wuyi rises above the southern suburbs of Wuyi Shan in Fujian province. Since time immemorial, it has been famous for its magnificent peaks, lush gullies, and rich natural resources, as well as for its cultural traditions. There doesn't seem to be anything particularly exciting about this side street. It looks no different from side streets in many other parts of China. The residents lead an apparently peaceful and happy life. At noon, the cobblestones shimmer in the sunshine. Down the street, there stands an abandoned house. With its broken walls and windows, it's hard to imagine that once this house was very famous. 800 years ago, this was a place of pilgrimage for scholars. Here, one of the most influential philosophers in Chinese history ran a school. The street is in the town of Wufu at the foot of Mount Wuyi. It's called Zhuzi Alley. Zhuzi, or Master Zhu, was the title of the great philosopher Zhu Xi. He was born in Youxi, Fujian province in the year 1130, and he died in the year 1200. Zhu Xi was just 14 years old when his father passed away. He and his mother went to live in Wufu. Every day to get to school, Zhu Xi walked down the narrow streets that would later be known as Zhuzi Alley. The residents of Wufu are very proud of their connection to Zhu Xi. They take great pains to preserve the narrow street as he would have known it.
Zhu Xi呢是南宋时期的我们说哲学家，或者是更准确一点叫理学家。他的学说呢，我们给他冠一个名词 就是他独特提出的道理的理学家。朱熹呢，在14岁的时候，父亲过世，父亲把他托付给自己的挚友，所以呢，在14岁这一年，他跟他的母亲一块儿呢来到武夷山下，就是我们今天所说这个里边的五夫，就是在五夫里，今天的这个原来的淳安，今天的武夷山市，在这个地方，朱熹得到了父亲的挚友，也是当时他的3个导师之一，应该说是理学早期的程宋理学以及湘湖学派的代表人物，一个是刘子辉，一个是刘勉之，再一个是胡宪。这3个人物呢，都是学问非常高的有学所成的这样一些名流。在朱熹成长的过程中，给他影响最大的是刘子辉。刘子辉呢，教他学易学，然后呢儒学。所以朱熹呢，应该说在最早的时候就奠定了儒学的根基。
20th century scholar Tai Xiangsi wrote, Eastern Zhou brought forth Confucius, and Southern Song Zhu Xi. Chinese culture originated on Mounts Taishan and Wuyi. In December 1999, UNESCO entered Mount Wuyi on the list of World Natural and Cultural Heritage Sites. Explaining its decision, the organization commented that Mount Wuyi provided the setting for the development and spread of Neo-Confucianism. Zhu Xi is widely considered to be China's greatest ever thinker, philosopher, and educator after Confucius. As the founder of the Neo-Confucian school, he was a key figure in the latter development of Confucianism. Its association with Zhu Xi has drawn worldwide attention to Mount Wuyi. Zhu Xi's influence extends throughout East Asia and to Europe and North America. Scholars of his philosophy are found in every corner of the world. On Mount Wuyi, Zhu Xi laid the theoretical foundations for a school of thought that dominated ideology in China for almost 1,000 years, from the Song to the Qing dynasty.
Mount Wuyi is famous for its beautiful natural scenery. It is also well known because of its association with the 12th century philosopher Zhu Xi, the father of New Confucianism. On one of his rare trips away from Mount Wuyi, Zhu Xi took part in the famous Goose Lake debate. What two schools of thought clashed in this historic exchange of views? Find out in Zhu Xi and Mount Wuyi, the second part of Great Masters of the Past.
In the year 1148, Zhu Xi passed the Imperial Civil Service examination and was subsequently appointed Sub-Prefectural Registrar of Tong'an County in Juanzhou Prefecture. On his way to Tong'an, he visited Li Tong, a follower of the philosophical tradition established by Chang Yi. Li Tong was highly impressed by the young official and accepted him as a student. Under Li Tong's influence, Zhu Xi began to develop the ideological principles that would become known as Neo-Confucianism. At the foot of Mount Wuyi stands a building, Ziyang Tower. The tower is surrounded by green hills and a clear stream runs past it. Behind it are a pond and a kitchen garden. Zhu Xi lived here for several years studying philosophy. One day, he imagined he saw a reflection in the pond of a thin man and clouds. As he turned his head, he saw a spring behind the house. This vision inspired him to compose a poem which reads, "The small pond resembles a mirror, sunlight and clouds linger on it. How is the spring so clear? Because it takes its water from the source." Ziyang Tower and its surroundings are indeed exquisite, but the most impressive feature of the location is its cultural atmosphere. The inscription is in the handwriting of Zhu Xi. It reads, "Learning is the principle for family prosperity. Harmony is the principle for regulating the family. Proper conduct is the principle for protecting the family. And hard work and thrift are the principles for running the household." Zhu Xi lived for 8 years at the foot of Yinping Peak in Wuyi. Zhu Xi was particularly fond of a stretch of the Jiuqiu River in Wuyi. He often took his students there. Living in this secluded spot, Zhu Xi was content. But he had no desire to be a pastoral poet or a hermit. He aspired to become a master of learning and a sage who would inspire people to lead decent lives. In the year 1183, when he was 54 years old, Zhu Xi resigned from his official post. He settled in Wuyi at the foot of Yinping Peak on Mount Wuyi. There, he and his students built a house, and the house became their school. That school was known as Wuyi Academy. There, Zhu Xi wrote books and gave lectures. Famous scholars came from across Southeast China to learn from Zhu Xi. Today, Wuyi Academy is acclaimed as China's first private university. The new philosophy established by Zhu Xi embraced the thinking of the Confucian scholars Zhou Duani, Zhang Yi, and Zhang Hao, combined with ideas found in Buddhism and Taoism. At its core is the Li, or rational principle. In explaining the concept of Li, Zhu Xi ascribed to it 3 key features: as the metaphysical element of natural and social phenomena, as the law of things, and as the basis of ethical behavior.
这个朱熹的时候就讲有所谓的存天理灭人欲。这个存天理灭人欲呢，应该来说跟我们今天所讲的说你要遵循大道理，不要把个人的儿女情长放在最前，是完全不一样的概念。它的天理是说大自然的规律，上天理，刚才我已经说了，在一切之前，所以它是世界发生的根源。那你这个人欲呢，是理和人性结合以后，受到后天环境影响之后表现出来的。如果你的天具之性和后天之性受到环境的影响，就出现了什么问题？就出现了我们说的人有肾有余，是吧？有智商的高低，有智商发达，有情商发达，他认为是这样。那如果说是一个治理之人，这样的人就应该是十全十美的，没有问题的，这是他说的天理。那人欲呢，是后天受到污染的东西，所以才会有说要灭人欲。打一个简单的比方，就是他里面讲的，饿了要吃饭，这叫天理。你要挑剔说我今天一定要吃这个菜，熊掌、鹿肉，还是一定要吃木耳、黄花，这就叫人欲。
Mount Wuyi is famous for its beautiful natural scenery. It is also well known because of its association with the 12th century philosopher Zhu, the father of New Confucianism. On one of his rare trips away from Mount Wuyi, Zhu took part in the famous Goose Lake debate. What two schools of thought clashed in this historic exchange of views? Find out in Zhu and Mount Wuyi, the second part of Great Masters of the Past.
An inscription in Chu Tower on Mount Wuyi reads, "Bright moon in the middle of the sky." This is a quotation from the Buddhist monk Ko Bing, who claimed to have achieved enlightenment while gazing at the moon. Tianqin, or middle of the sky temple, got its name from the monk's remark. A stone tablet inside Shenqian Tower on Mount Wuyi bears another inscription. This one describes Zhu pursuit of the goal of integrating Buddhism and Taoism. The two characters carved on the rock at Water Curtain Cave mean living source. They come from a poem by Zhu called Thoughts About Book Reading. Zhu read widely, and his knowledge of Buddhism and Taoism, as well as of Confucianism, was the basis on which he developed Neo-Confucianism. Zhu left Fujian province on only 14 occasions. One of those trips was to attend the historic Goose Lake debate. At the time of the Goose Lake debate, Lu Jiuyuan's philosophy of subjective idealism had been spreading from west to east. Zhu, working in the east of the country, had just formulated the outline of his Neo-Confucianism. Inevitably, his thinking and that of Lu Jiuyuan collided. In 1175, the Confucian scholar Lu Zuqian invited Zhu and Lu Jiuyuan to meet at Goose Lake. There, they would debate subjective idealism versus objective idealism.
在鹅湖寺这个地方，两个人呢都用自己的学说来跟对方进行交流。开始的时候当然是心平气和，因为各自都是一个学派的宗师了，我们说呀，或者说是掌门人了当然 朱熹的学说呢，我们今天来看有很简单的两个入门的词汇，一个是理，一个是气。那理呢，它的说法就是我们作为哲学来说，它解释的问题就是世界之所以存在，世界之所以发生演变的根本原因。那朱熹的解释就是说，在所有的物质之前，这个物质怎么来的？我要找到这个根源。他认为这个根源就是理。那理的具象化就是我们说的气。所以他认为理在先。那这个理，我们是说这个很抽象，是吧？说不太清楚。所以我们认为朱熹的学说呢是叫唯心的。可是呢，他认为理是在先，已经就存在，所以我们讲它有一个客观物在前，这个呢我们叫它客观唯心。那陆九渊他不是，陆九渊呢他认为是说我们的性灵在更前所以呢他跟朱熹是一个对应，他也唯心，但他唯心呢是说人的心来左右这些的运转，所以我们说它是主观的，是由我来影响这些的，叫主观唯心。那这二者呢，当然因为它的解释方法不同，我们现在呢没有一个学说能够说把整个世界解释清楚，更别提在南宋的时候，所以他们一直在那个地方各说各的，各说各的，最后呢是不欢而散。但是不管怎么说，作为一次哲学的思辨也好，一次哲学思想的碰撞也罢，为后来中国哲学的发展做了一次很有益的探讨。
Although he urged people to maintain exalted principles and eradicate human desires, Zhu Xi was not an ascetic. He loved nature and had a strong appreciation of beauty. In a poem, Zhu Xi wrote, "Yunu Peak by the Archu River resembles a slender girl. For whom does she groom herself? Travellers do not stop to engage in vain dreams. There are many mountains ahead of you." Zhu Xi became friendly with a man named Xin Qiji, who served for a time as magistrate of Mount Wuyi. Xin Qiji often travelled between his hometown in Qianshan in Jiangxi province and Chong'an. He would stop on the way and visit Zhu Xi so the two could discuss politics and write poetry. Xin Qiji remembered one visit in particular when he and Zhu Xi took a boat out on the Jiuqiu River. Zhu Xi was one of the most prolific Confucian writers in the history of China. His most important works are Notes on the Four Books, collected works of Master Zhu, classified conversations of Master Zhu, and etiquette set by Zhu Xi for his family. In his own lifetime, Zhu Xi failed to make much of an impact with his Neo-Confucian philosophy. And as an imperial official, his honesty led him to make many enemies. In the year 1198, Han Tuo, the Prime Minister, banned the propagation of Neo-Confucianism. Zhu Xi was accused of several crimes and dismissed from office. He died in the year 1200 at the age of 73. Although in his lifetime Zhu Xi failed as an imperial official, he left a lasting and powerful philosophical legacy. It has been said that he was like a lotus flower nurtured by the rich earth of Mount Wuyi. Though he suffered many setbacks and hardships in his life, he built a magnificent monument of ideology.
For more than 2,000 years, a remarkable water control project has played a vital role in keeping the Chengdu Plain irrigated. It's called the Dujiang Weir. The man believed to be responsible for this miracle of engineering was Li Bing. But what was the connection between his great project and the philosophy of the father of Taoism, Lao Tzu? Find out in Li Bing and the Dujiang Weir, the third part of the series Great Masters of the Past.